Welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. Today, we're excited to have Dominika Stanowicz, Coach D, a brain coach certified by Dr. Amen and Amen University, and a neuro encoding specialist. She's a founding member of the Neuro Recording Institute, MS of Sociology. Is that right? That's how you pronounce it, right? A BA in education. She's a public speaker and an expert featured multiple times in European media. Welcome to your show, Dominika. How are you?
Welcome. Thank you. It's my pleasure, Andy and Nina. I am so grateful to be your guest. Thank you for having me. I've been listening from the backstage. I absolutely love what you guys brought here. I love the little tips that were given for kids, and those same tips can work for adults and to empower our brain, but we'll get to that later. How are you doing?
We're doing great. Thank you for joining us. So, Dominika, we've been following Dr. Amen for a while ourselves, and we try to apply his principles wherever we can in our lives. So, maybe can you tell us a little bit about what a brain coach actually does and like the neuroencoding specialist? It's so fancy and it sounds so smart. Can you tell us what it actually is?
Well, that's a great question, and I love answering. So, Dr. Amen is a person leading change in the psychiatry. He's a neuropsychiatrist, and he believes that we got to try absolutely everything before we go on medication, if possible. I'm going to add that if possible. Sometimes we need medication right away to save our life, and that's not the time to experiment with brain health. But what we also believe is that your mental health is not mental health. It's a brain issue. Brain, it's an organ. An organ can be treated if you know how it works, how it functions, and if you can see it and if you know the principles. And there are so many beautiful ways you can work with it, understanding it. And I was listening just, to you talking and bringing back articles about food. So one of the things that we're so, as a nation, as Americans, and not only Americans, so prone to do is to take medication for antidepressants. You're in a bad mood, here, have some antidepressants. You're being angry, have some antidepressants. And do you know that on May, I wrote it down, 29, 2022, media all over the world reported on a study that was being done for over a year in Florida, where 7 prescribed medication were in all fish that were caught. Maximum was 17. And types of medications that were in all fish were antibiotics and antidepressants. We take so much that our fish are now high on antidepressants. And unfortunately, this is a trend because we want it easy and simple. And let me tell you, unless it's a clinical depression where you try to commit suicide, most of the time, these things are fixable or treatable, or you can manage that within 3-4 months with using the right behavioral patterns, neuroencoding. I'm an elite neuroencoder, so using neuropsychology, rewiring your brain, knowing how the structures work and where the emotions lie, because everything you do, like everything. How I pick up my cup. Notice I pick it up with left hand. I'm both-handed. I'm right-handed naturally. But I trained myself to do the left hand to start using bilateral, movements in my brain so it can develop. Everything you do, how you react, how you feel, if you have road rage, if you're depressed, if you're angry, if you're sad, if you can't remember, if you cannot recall. Yeah, I know. Are you laughing? I know. Those are all brain, I wouldn't say malfunctions or flaws. It's not optimized. Maybe it doesn't have enough oxygen. I mean, if you're sitting all day and looking at a computer, guess what? Your brain is not doing too good. If you're not getting the blood flow there, so you're not walking, if you don't have vitamin D3, all of that is part of brain coaching. And one of the things brain coaches like me do, if you allow us, because it's your right to say no, we look at a specific blood work. Because if you do not have building blocks for your neurons and neurotransmitters, I can work all I want with you and it's not going to work. You cannot build a house without bricks. You cannot rewire the brain without the crucial elements that we have in our blood. That's why what you do is so important, because a lot of that is and it has to be done in the right way. Now, with Dr. Amen, we also use supplements, which are dense version of um, natural herbs and spices that help you, and they're in a kind of a version that are they treat you, they support you, so they're not just to keep you stable. They actually have a dosage that actually helps treat the brain or support the brain. Now, elite neuron coding specialists, what we specialize in is that we realize that your brain is connected to your body. And I want you to think, when you're in a bad mood, right, and you're sitting there, your hands go back here, your head goes down, and you speak very quietly, and you kind of look up. There's no way you can be in a good mood sitting like this because your brain automatically sends a signal. So to break that pattern, force yourself to sit up, put your chin up, put a big smile on your face, and look up at the ceiling and just smile like a crazy person.
I'm going to do that right now.
So what happens is your brain sends a signal, even if it's a fake smile, to your body to release happy chemicals. And we know it's dopamine, oxytocin, and the other ones, right? So what you can do, you can use your body to break the feeling you have. Now, obviously, don't get me wrong. This is just to break the pattern. Now you're feeling better. You can do something about it. Mm-hmm. The truth is, I've never seen, unless, it's like, okay, let's go to US. I'm not American by birth, and you guys probably are not either, I'm assuming. So we have different cultural backgrounds. But even now, when I would give you a high five, I would, yes. What happens? You smile. You didn't think about it. You automatically smile. It is programmed into your brain. So if those things were programmed without our knowledge, what if we can use that knowledge to program our brain to the best behavior so it defaults there without any other behaviors? So if your behavior is anger, your behavior will be ambivalent. Okay, fine. Well, they're in a bad mood. It won't touch you. You can literally do that to your brain with neuron coding and of brain coaching, which is phenomenal. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm a coach. Yet, we can break anxiety. I had my last client. She was such a beautiful lady, 27 years old, and would go into a room and would crunch and shake and sometimes lose her breath and faint because she had so much anxiety. It took us 4 sessions. Not only she went to the room, she didn't faint and she was fine. After 4 sessions, she walked up to 5 people and said, "Hey, that was easy." This is neural coding. Not one medication. Was she on supplements? Did we do brain assessment that is recommended by Dr. Amen? Yes. But what we did later on, we rewired her brain and we stopped the default thinking. Now, I'm going to ask you, and you guys are probably not falling into that, but your audience might. Let me ask you a question. If you would talk to everybody else around you the way you talk to yourself, how many friends would you have?
That's a question for you.
And exactly. Very often we talk down to ourselves. And we would never say that to somebody else because we have respect for them. We treat them with care. We do not do the same thing for us. So part of my work is making you realize a lot of things that we do. And there are so many ways. I mean, I can talk for hours, trust me. This is like, I absolutely love. Somebody laughed at me and they said, "Do you do something bad?" I'm like, "No, I don't. I just get rid of my clients." He goes, "What do you mean you get rid of my clients?" I'm like, I encode them and train them to the point where they don't need me. This is not something that's going to last 5-6 years and you're going to go to therapy and you're going to, "Oh, it got a little bit better." No, if you need me more than a year and a half, I have done a very bad job. I think I need to give you your money back because those issues, unless they're clinical, should not take that long to fix. Mm-hmm. And life is amazing because it provides us, you guys were talking about food. So it is so important what we eat. Now, obviously, not everything can be done. We live in the US. In Europe, for example, where I'm from, when we're in about 7th, 8th grade, we're given this little sheet of paper with all the E's that are harmful for you. And we go shopping with that. But Europe requires you to put everything on the label that's added.
Mm-hmm.
No exception. Big, small, tiny, doesn't matter. It's in there. It has to be on the label. So then we go shopping and we go, oh, it's E517. I can't have that. So I'm not going to buy that, which forced companies to improve quality of food. I don't know if you try. If you go to European stores, African stores, and Canadian stores in America, you will buy Heinz and ketchup, and then you'll buy the same one in America. You'll compare the labels, and they have nothing in common besides tomatoes.
That is so true.
So all of that knowledge, this is not my skill, this is your skill, but my skill is rewiring your brain, allowing you to thrive without being on medication. And if you are on medication, I will help you gain skills to the point where you will be able to wind yourself off the medication with your doctor. We're not doing that on our own, right? Because doctor prescribed it, so we need to be monitored when we're going off medication so we don't have any side effects. Or minimize the amount of medication you're taking. Sometimes it's impossible, like with me. I'm epileptic. My epilepsy is in the frontal lobe. So far, no operation will work. So far, no, there's no medicine that I can take that's natural that will stop the seizures. But because of the knowledge I have from Dr. Amen, I haven't had a seizure in about 7 years. I reduced stress. I change my sleeping patterns. I change how I eat. I exercise regularly, and I do take supplements, and I manage a lot of other things. And what happens is, instead of 2,000 units a day of my medication, I'm on 500 units a day. And I think that's phenomenal, right? And I used to take antidepressants. I'm off antidepressants. Saffron is good enough in the concentrated dose. It's not just regular food. So there are multiple ways you can serve yourself. And that takes work. It's not pop a pill. And I think that is our biggest problem right now. We just want everything quick and now. And we're hurting ourselves because those medications you're taking, there's a side effect to a side effect. You guys were talking about kids. Your friend was talking. That was phenomenal. So what we used to do as kids, we used to go and lay down in the grass and look at the clouds and imagine shapes and tell each other what we see. What happened was we were using different parts of our brain while doing the imaginative and feeling the grass and feeling the wind and creating words and structures and telling stories with the clouds that would change shapes. That's a phenomenal exercise. If you're an adult and you're having problems with memory, for example, one of the best way to wake up your brain is to study a foreign language that you cannot associate with anything for 10 minutes a day. That's it. 10 minutes a day. Another thing you can do for your brain to improve your memory, your reaction, the blood flow to your brain, the oxygenation, is playing table tennis or pickleball.
That's actually a very good suggestion. It's easy to do. Anyone can do it.
Absolutely. And you know why those two? Because they require quick reaction time, which involves your prefrontal cortex. You need to plan. It reacts movement, so it involves anterior cingulate, and involves your limbic system. All of those things, while you're playing a sport when you need to plan and quick react, are actually phenomenal for your brain. And that is about half an hour, recommended 3-4 times a week. You can change your brain. You can literally change your brain from an all deteriorating brain to a healthy brain. And there are ways to prevent progression of early caught Alzheimer's and dementia. Now, it takes work. It does. Now we have some medication that might be showing up, but there are things you can do. And brain scans have shown that you have symptoms of Alzheimer's and dementia in your 20s. Those plaques start to show up then. So in theory, you could go and get a scan and see if you have that. And that's a SPECT scan that will show that. So, but there are ways you can flush them out. You can prevent them from progressing. And you will die cognitively aware. That is possible. Now, the question is, are you that important to yourself to do that to you?
Well, I want to say yes. I'm the most important person in my life.
Yes.
That is so true. That's so true. And it's funny that you talk about table tennis and pickleball because I used to be very big in badminton when we were still in California. And since we moved here to Texas, I dropped playing badminton because I don't know anyone here. And we tried picking up pickleball, but it's just, to us, it seemed a little slow.
And I think it's because it takes some learning, and that's exactly your point, right? We have to reprocess everything again, so it's not muscle memory. And
Exactly.
that's why it's really hard, and we should probably go back into it.
Absolutely. And another thing you can do for your brain, which is going to be phenomenal, that will kind of enhance functioning of your brain, is don't go on muscle memory to work or home. Choose always turn in a weird way that you would never turn. So your brain actually wakes up, because when we're driving a car and we're just thinking about whatever and we know where we're going, our brain goes into slow motion. We need to wake it up. So get off the freeway in the wrong way. What happens? Your brain goes, oh, this looks different. I don't know where I am. I got to think. And it starts connecting information, and it works beautifully. That's a simple thing you can do for your brain.
I know sometimes I use my left hand to brush my teeth just to train it so that
Absolutely.
it feels very awkward, but it's fun.
Well, another thing you guys can try with me is a really cool exercise that I do with because everything is awkward until it becomes natural. And when it becomes natural, it's not actually enhancing working of your brain. So the moment you're comfortable, you're not doing good for your brain. That sucks. I know. But if you take your hands and you just put thumbs on top, right? Like this, naturally. Okay. Now I want you purposefully take your hands apart and do your thumbs other way around. How does that feel?
Weird.
Are you doing anything different? Is it changing your life?
Well, I don't think so.
Very good. Great answer. It's not. Take it apart and do it awkwardly again. Do it the same way. You still have to concentrate. Do it again. Take it apart and do it the different way again. Is it getting easier of every time you're doing it?
True.
Definitely.
And you're right now rewiring your brain. And those are just very simple, cool things that you can do that you can enhance. You can do that with your kids. Ladies, when we're in beautiful dresses, switch legs, right? When you sit down, do the first, not right first, do the left first. That's another thing you can do. The same thing with the way we sit or the way we cross our legs. Cross your legs differently, right? Anything you can do out of the ordinary. At the beginning, it's going to be awkward. Anything at the beginning is awkward when it's new. I don't remember anything being new and not awkward unless you do. And
that is so true. And I guess anytime something is awkward, it's just like learning a new skill. It's just like it's funny that you talk about language because we are trying to learn Spanish through Duolingo. And I think you're right, because minute will do it at 10, 15 minutes. I just want to get through the day. I do my 2-3 lessons, 5 minutes, I'm done. And then the next day, what was that lesson that we learned yesterday? So maybe there is that 10-minute threshold makes a difference.
Well, it's also the quality of importance. How important is that to you? What you just said is something that is encoded in our society and our brains. You use the word try. We're trying to learn, which means it's not your priority. If you say to your friend, I'm going to try make your party, I'm going to try to come and visit you, do you really are planning on going?
It's like a 50-50.
Yeah, or usually no. It's like if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
And the word try is like giving high five, encoded in our brain that when we say it, the priority automatically drops. So your concentration level and your involvement, emotional involvement, because emotions are necessary in your memory, will be slim to none. So that is why you might have problems. Also, science shows that when you're learning, you need a repetition of about 60 times of one word for it to become a permanent memory. So if you heard something once, unless you're a genius and you have an unusual, atypical brain, you will not remember, and you're very normal then.
Good to know.
That's good to know. Oh, so I think when it comes to people, when we talk about having a chronically healthy life, we're talking about chronically health not only as in the health aspect, but also for relationships, for your family, for your work, for success in finances, right? How does your thinking or maybe negative thinking have to do with your success in any of those aspects in life?
Oh, that's a phenomenal question. And it's so prevalent in our society, and not only ours, all over the world. People struggle because of culture with low self esteem, not being good enough. We were taught to reflect our value based on what others say, not what we do and believe in our core beliefs. And anytime you are experiencing anxiety, anger issues, you blow up, you actually attack subconsciously everybody around you, and you change the way they're functioning. So the best example is, if you ever want to see, you can go into YouTube, and there is a guitar, a bass guitar, and another bass guitar, and they're right next to each other. When you use the string and it's at a certain frequency, and the other string does not have the same frequency, nothing will happen. But if those two make the same sound, when you hit this one will start vibrating. The same thing when you're driving and you're walking and you can feel somebody looking at you. I mean, they didn't say, "Hey, Andy, I'm looking at you." You just feel their eyes. You feel their attention. And that's how we also communicate with our brains. Those, we call them, Alzheimer's say it's nonverbal signals. It's actually the expansion of energy, and that's a scientific element. If you walk into a room and people are upset, you feel that they're upset, and the energy is just, everybody is off. Now, you might not be able to name it, so maybe you won't say, "Oh, they're angry." You'll just feel uncomfortable, and you'll see their postures.
Something's wrong, right? Yes.
Something's wrong. That's your gut. That's your primal brain, and guess what? It reads that. And 99.9% of the time, if your gut says run, please don't be inclusive. Run. So, with that being said, those simple examples, everything you bring home influences everybody around you. Anytime you're in a bad mood, anytime, if you're angry, and if you believe, for example, that world is a bad place, you will be in a protection mode 24/7. And your brain will prove you always right. I want you to remember this. Your brain will prove you always right. What does that mean? If you believe that the world is bad, there's so many things happening at one time, your brain will pick the things that will prove you right.
Mm-hmm.
And if you believe the world is good, it will look for proof that the world is good. Oh, she smiled at me. Oh, they let me into the lane. Oh, I found a parking spot. Oh, I did this. Your brain will always prove you right. And you cannot control the outside world. What you can control is your thoughts and your reactions. And every thought is combined with a chemical reaction in your body. That is so important. Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, cortisol is bad." No, cortisol is good. Permanent cortisol, high levels, are bad because they're hurting. Without fear and stress, if you see a big lion coming at you, cortisol, we want the cortisol.
You run.
You want to run.
Yes, right.
Whatever the right thing is for the lion. And so anything that you have too much of is not good. I mean, you can overdo vitamin D3 and that's not good for you. But if you don't have enough, that's not good either. So optimum levels is what you're looking for in brain health, in your blood work, in your behavioral patterns. And what's beautiful about brain coaching and brain health is that we acknowledge every feeling you have. All the feelings are good. Anger, stress, sadness, even being depressed. Now, feeling depressed and being clinically depressed are two different things. Everybody feels sad once in a while, and that's okay. It's the ability to recognize those feelings, name those feelings, and change those feelings, because anything you feel alters your brain and your state of being and your biochemistry. Now, of course, it's not, like people go, "Oh, so when you take my blood, is it going to immediately show?" No, it's not. It's not. But we don't live 5 seconds. We live 80, 90 years, 70 years, some people 50. So it builds up. And can you imagine not being triggered? Can you imagine not getting angry? Can you imagine not getting frustrated? And even if you do, then letting it go within a few minutes and saying, hey, it is what it is. Life goes on. And what can I do not to be in that situation differently? Because there is a very big difference between going, oh, I don't care, and going, okay, this happened. I'm mad. I'm not happy. Okay, let me feel that. Okay, no, I'm done. What can I do next time not to have the same feeling or not to be in the same situation? That is the key between a healthy brain and a healthy individual and a person who is stuck in their own ways. Because we all will feel all of it. And it's absolutely normal. I mean, please, if you're grieving, grieve. The question is it okay to grieve 2 weeks, 3 months? Or do you want to grieve for years?
So, Dominica, how would someone know that they need your help?
So anytime they're experiencing prolonged anxiety, fear of failure, fear of success, PTSD, self-doubt, self-loathing, low self-esteem, anger issues, anger management issues, sleep deprivation, all of those things are definitely something I can work with. And I can support you and help you on your way so you can actually live the life you enjoy.
So what's the best way for people to reach out to you, and what would you provide for them, on the first consult?
So discovery calls are always free. You can reach out to me via my website. You can write me an email. We can manage that. But for all your viewers, especially today, if you guys write me an email, I will send you a link to Dr. Amen approved brain assessment. So you can see what type of brain you have, what food would be supporting you, what type of supplements you should be doing, and what can you do to improve your brain health so you can have a better life. Either way, I'm open to talk to you guys. Give me a call. You can go on my website, email me, find me on Facebook and Instagram. Everywhere you go, I'm your brain coach, Dee.
And we know that you have a program that is about to kick off. Can you tell us a little bit quickly about that program?
Absolutely. So it's surviving to thriving in 90 days. And what's absolutely amazing about it is that we will tackle self-worth, self-doubt, anxiety, fears, automatic negative thoughts that you spoke about in 90 days. And not only you will have the videos and a worksheet and homework, you will have coaching with me in group coaching. You will have live sessions for every week through the whole program and a community that will be supporting you in real life, which is totally different than what everybody else does. And you can just go to my page and find that program. I absolutely love it. It's a great start when books are not enough and you want more from life. And you see that, well, I read those books, but nothing is changing anymore. I need a new power into my life pushed in. That would be it. Surviving to thriving in 90 days.
Love it. Thank you so much, Dominica.
It was an absolute pleasure. Show. Coming up next, we're going to watch our next biohacking video. Thank you, Dominica.
Thank you.